What's up, everybody? My name is Scott Waters. Welcome to the Life Metal. It's time for a rock metal update. That's right. It's time for a rock and metal update. This rock and metal update is all 7-inch singles, mostly classic, traditional heavy metal, some thrash mixed in there as well. But good stack. Honestly, I have enough new 7-inch singles that I could probably do 3 or 4 videos with piles that big. So I'm going to do this one, which is mostly, like I said, heavy metal, classic metal, some thrash, that kind of thing. Next video I'm going to do is a bunch of 70s and 60s and 70s classic rock bands. So let's get right into it. All right, first up, this was kind of like a grail. I'm always looking for Judas Priest singles, but this is Rockarola and Never Satisfied, an original Gull pressing with the Gull record sleeve, which you just don't see very often. So yeah, this was one that I've been looking for a long time. They are ridiculously expensive. You can find them. I've seen them upwards of $300 or $400. I've seen them sell as low as $50. I got this one for a screaming deal because I made a trade, and it is in just, with the exception of a few wrinkles in the actual sleeve itself, which you can kind of see a little bit. It's in pristine condition, so I was really happy to find that sucker. All right, next up, good pile of Saxon singles. This is Sailing to America from the 80s, obviously. I actually have this single, but this is actually an upgrade copy. This one is exceptionally clean. All those white covers always get such bad ring wear, especially, you know, stuff from the 70s and 80s. This one is mint. I mean, it's just downright perfect, so I was glad to find it. And I bought this in a lot with a bunch of these other Saxon singles at the same time. So I actually bought, I think there was a good 8 or 10 singles in that pile, and the ones I'm showing, I'm keeping, but the other ones I've given away to friends already. So I don't tend to sell stuff very often. I've got too many friends who give me stuff for me to sell other stuff to people I don't know. I'd rather just give it to my friends who I know would, you know, like that kind of thing. So next up, this is a Power and the Glory picture sleeve single. I think this is like the 3rd or 4th copy of Power and the Glory I have on 7-inch single. This one has See the Light Shining live on the B-side. There's actually a couple different versions of the 12-inch of this too, the regular version with different track listings. This is a classic album, definitely more melodic than the earlier, you know, the 80s new wave of British heavy metal stuff. But I still, you know, I just adore almost the entire Saxon, you know, catalog, minus a few things like Rock the Nations is kind of, you know, not that great. But regardless, anything Saxon is welcome in my collection. I'm a I collect anything by this band, and I probably have 30 or 40 Saxon singles now, so I just keep collecting them. This is Nightmare from the same album. Backed with Midas Touch picture, obviously picture disc version. I think I'm almost positive I have the regular picture sleeve version as well, so it's nice to find that. Here's one you don't find very often, but this is Ride the Wind. I never even knew this one existed, to be honest. I mean, I'm sure I might have seen it in a list in like Discogs, but just never paid attention. But from the album Destiny, which was very, very melodic, much more commercial album, so a lot of people hated it. I get it. It doesn't sound like classic Saxon, but I kind of like it. I still thought it was a good album. It wasn't like super cheesy like Rock the Nations was. Regardless, cool to find a single from that album. This is, like I said, Ride the Lightning, backed with Red Alert. Starting in the early 90s, Saxon kind of got a bit, I don't know, they went from the more melodic commercial stuff to kind of regaining their footing and finding their heavy metal feet again. And Solid Ball of Rock was one of the albums they put out. Again, saving 7-inch singles for this album, pretty rare. I mean, this is probably, what, 91, 92, so vinyl just wasn't as in because CDs started taking over in the late 80s. So you don't really see singles or, you know, vinyl from that era very often. But I was surprised to find this one in that collection and snapped it up in a second, of course. This is We Will Remember, backed with Altar of the Gods. And then finally, this one I didn't buy in that lot. I bought this one separately. This is a new release. Well, when I say new, it's like a couple years old now. But this is Night of the Vinyl Dead, along with SPV. I'm sure Night of the Vinyl Dead probably licensed the track from SPV. But it's a poster sleeve for the album for the song Live to Rock, not the album Live to Rock. It's actually from the album dadgummit, Into the Labyrinth. Took me a second there. Yeah, so it's you know, nice. It's a new release, but still like I said, anything Saxon is welcome in my collection. This is an oldie but goodie. This is one that I've kind of had on my radar for a while. It either doesn't pop up for a decent price or it's trashed, and I'm not interested in a trashed copy. This copy is pretty dang clean, but this is Hellion Nightmares. It's actually a double, 2 bands on one single. So you got Hellion on one side, and this is the Sound of Hollywood Girls LP. It's not an LP, it's an EP because there's only 2 songs on here. So you got Bitch on one side, I'm in Love. Of course, you know, everybody knows Betsy Bitch. They were kind of one of Metal Blade's early house bands. And then Hellion, Nightmares. And, of course, Ann Bowen from Hellion went on to form her own label, New Renaissance Records, and put out a bunch of stuff on that label as well. But yeah, I was glad to finally find a copy of this for a decent price. It's not one, like I said, that shows up very often on Mystic Records from, I don't know, is there a year on this thing anywhere? 1983. There's a year on the center label. Hellion Nightmares. Motorhead. This is a new single that just came out. Again, one of those bands I collect anything by. This is the band's cover of Metallica's Enter Sandman, which I like the song, but I like the song even more. I love the grit and the grind that Motorhead puts to the track. It's a really nice package, but it was a little expensive for what it is. It comes in this, I didn't put the sleeve on it, it came in that sleeve. It's on red vinyl. And it's only a 1-song single. The B-side is, I don't know how well that'll show up or not, but the Motorhead's mascot, Snaggletooth. I'm trying to get the ring light there. You go to give you some, I don't know if you can see that or not, but yeah, I mean, so it's a really nice package. It's obviously nothing more than a collector's item for the Motorhead fanatic like myself that they can, you know, make a buck off of. I get that, but isn't that what most commercial things are? You know, someone putting out something because they hope to make a buck off someone that likes it. Anyhow, so Motorhead Enter Sandman, and then this is one that I've been after for a while. It's just so overpriced, and I'm just not willing to pay, you know, $70, $80, $100 for a record, for a 7-inch record. So I always wait, and I seem to find the stuff I'm looking for decent deals. But this is Wendy O and Lemmy doing Stand By Your Man. So basically a Motorhead single. With No Class, with, again, Wendy O Williams singing along, and what's the other song? I believe it was Master Plan, yep. So there's the front, the back. Hopefully that picture doesn't get my video taken down of Wendy O, but she has got everything covered up, barely. But yeah, I've been looking for that one for a while. There's several different, you know, newer versions of that single out there with the Plasmatics logo on it. There's versions of that single with the Motorhead logo on it, but this is the original single for it on the bronze label. This was Motorhead related, not Motorhead. Probably could have gone to a 70s hard rock one, but this is the Young and Moody Band. Don't Do That single for that album. This is like a bunch of 70s veterans, including Lemmy on bass. So you got Mick Moody on guitars, Bob Young on vocals and harmonica, Ed Hamilton also on vocals, Kazi Powell on drums. Everybody knows who Kazi Powell is. Lemmy on bass, and Colleen and Linda Nolan on backing vocals. So it's Motorhead related, only that in that Lemmy's playing bass in this band, the Young and Moody Band. Bob Young and Mick Moody obviously are the two guys pictured on the front, but there's Lemmy pictured on the back. Okay, next up, another one that's related to Motorhead, but it's not Motorhead. This is Fast Eddie Clarke's Fast Way. You know, the band that came out right around the time that new wave of British heavy metal was booming in 1980. Was supposed to be Pete Way and Fast Eddie Clarke, thus the name Fast Way. Fast Eddie Clarke ended up exiting the band before they recorded the first album, going on tour with Ozzy. But regardless, Fast Eddie went on with the band, and I like them. I have for a long time. They're kind of a band I'd forgotten about. I picked up this single and it kind of reignited my interest in the band again. I played a bunch of their other records, so really cool. UK pressing on a GWR label. In my last 7-inch update, I showed the other single from this band. This is, and I still have no idea how to pronounce the band name, Dagoband, I think. New wave of British heavy metal band, kind of kind of underrated, not real known, but these singles aren't easy to find either. This happens to be, I believe, the second single from '82. I think the first single was from '80. Yeah, '82. And that's all they released, 2 singles. Really good stuff. Now, if you're expecting something super heavy, or you're expecting, you know, Raven, Venom, Tank, that kind of stuff, no, it's much more progressive hard rock kind of stuff. But that's what that new wave of British heavy metal was. It was a mixture of all these different, you know, heavy 70s styles. And right here you got more of a progressive hard rock band. Really good, though. I really like this band. I wish they would have recorded more stuff. Who knows? Maybe they did. It just never got released. This one here I'll show in a bit. This is Accept. Just one of the newer singles that I was missing. Love the artwork on this thing, but for the life of me can't remember the name of the song. I think it's The Rise to Chaos, but it doesn't say that on the front. So I'm always, yeah, The Rise to Chaos, and then Dark Side of My Heart live from Accept. So this is just a black vinyl version. I think there may be another color out there, but colors of vinyls don't really do much for me. I don't know. It's all the same record. It's just different, whatever color plastic they threw into the, you know, into the machine that day. So there you go. Accept, Rise to Chaos, black vinyl, Nuclear Blast. Okay, this is a promo single for Crocus. Long Stick Goes Boom. You know, you got your Dynamite references as well as your sexual references with both. So it's what they call a double double entendre, is that what they call it? Anyhow, Long Stick Goes Boom. This is a promo single, radio single, so it's the same song both sides, but you got stereo and the mono version. So they were still doing that in the early 80s. In the 70s, almost every promo single was, you know, either stereo on one side and mono on the other. Starting in the 80s, it started having the same song with stereo on both sides, but this one still has stereo mono. This would have been early 80s, 1981, 82, somewhere in that area. 82. Alright, this could have also gone in my 70s stuff, but a few people will really argue, although some will these days. Black Sabbath. This is a Japanese pressing for Paranoid, backed with The Wizard. Really cool. I love Black Sabbath, especially, well, I like most Black Sabbath, so there you go. But it's just a really cool Japanese pressing. I got this for a decent price. I mean, it wasn't cheap, but it wasn't expensive either, so I've been watching it for a while. My problem with most of the Japanese singles is even if you can find it for $25 or $30, something like this, most Japanese sellers are asking $25 to $30 for shipping. So you're going to end up paying $60 for it, and I just don't want to pay that for a single. This one I was able to find from a seller who had much more reasonable shipping. So I ended up buying a few things from him. But anyhow, Black Sabbath, Paranoid. Everybody knows Paranoid. I mean, I remember back in the 80s when all my friends were learning to play and playing in bands and doing talent shows, everybody was playing Paranoid on their guitars. It was one of those songs everybody was learning how to play. You know, that and Stairway to Heaven and a few others. Another Paranoid single. This is actually a 1980 pressing. I haven't actually done the research to find out which country it was from because it was pressed in a few countries with this same cover and this same center label. So I don't know which is which, but I picked this one up from a UK seller. It is in pristine shape, with the only exception being a slight bend in the, if I can get the glare, right there in the cover. But yeah, Paranoid. This one's backed with Snowblind. So, like I said, this is a single from around 1980, I believe it came out. So a repressing of the Paranoid single. The song was, you know, heavy metal was just experiencing a whole new wave of British heavy metal of popularity in you know, Europe at the time, and Sabbath were one of the, you know, forefathers of heavy metal. So no doubt this got a new pressing. And then Black Sabbath, Turn Up the Night, Dio era. I love Dio era Sabbath too. I love Dio, pretty much everything he's done. I even like his, you know, the stuff in Elf. Not a big fan of his earlier bebop stuff, but Elf on, love it. So anyhow, Turn Up the Night, backed with Lonely Is the Word. This is I believe this is a bootleg 7-inch. I don't think this is an official. It actually says on the front, demonstration record, not for sale. I don't think it's a promo single. I think it was actually a bootleg. But regardless, you got live versions of Die Young and Neon Nights. Wasn't super expensive, and it's Sabbath, so I snatched it up, of course. and I showed it on Facebook, and then several people were like, "Where'd you get that from? I need that." So I don't know if it's rare or not. I haven't done a whole lot of research on it. It doesn't matter. It's just a part of the collection, you know. As my wife says, it doesn't matter how much it's worth. You're never going to sell it, so it's worthless. That's what she says. All right, done with the Sabbath. However, not done with Dio. This is actually, as I said earlier, this is a promo single for Elf, Hoochie Coochie Man. I'm sorry, Hoochie Coochie Lady. Ronnie James Dio, obviously vocals on this one, mono and stereo in the original Epic sleeve. So that was a cool find. You don't see Elf singles that often. All right, L.A. gutter rock, sleaze rock, whatever you want to call it, sleaze metal. This is Love Hate, Blackout in the Red Room. I love this album. I think it's a fantastic and underrated album and band. I highly recommend this if you like that kind of dirty, heavy sound that came out of L.A. After the whole, glam metal movement was over. They kind of moved away from the glam and went into this grittier sound, and I just really dig it. So, all right, last old one, and I got some newer singles in here. This is one of my all-time favorite movies. Every time I watch it, I laugh. I literally laugh out loud. If you're ever in a band, you have to see Spinal Tap. But there's also a lot of stuff after Spinal Tap, and this is the single for Bitch School. If you ever seen the video for this one, it's freaking hilarious. The guys walk into the room and into the cutting room, and the guy's like, "All right, here's your video," and it's just absolutely ridiculous, over the top, stupid, sexist video, and you watch the video and you're like, "Gosh, that was dumb," but it's funny, and then it's all over, and the guys are just like crying in the room, like, "Oh, that was so beautiful." It's hilarious. Worth seeing if you've ever seen the video for that. But I never even knew there existed an actual picture sleeve 7-inch for this. So this is one I bought. One of those European sellers who had a bunch of other stuff I wanted. I probably wouldn't have searched that on its own, but because it was in he had a bunch of other stuff I wanted, I snatched this up. I love Spinal Tap. I know they're not a real band. I understand it's just a spoof thing, but again, I find it funny. I played in bands for years, and it's just, if you're ever in a band, you've got to watch the movie, especially if you were in bands in the 70s, 80s, or 90s. All right, the rest of this is all newer bands. I'm going to show this one last. So first up, we've got from Satan. This is the Doomsday Clock and Catacombs. I haven't opened this one yet. It's still sealed. I play almost everything I own. I'm just trying to decide if I really want to open and play this one or not. I've heard both songs. I like both songs. I think they're fantastic. But I'm thinking about keeping this one sealed and just as a collector's thing. So anyhow, this thing came out on Metal Blade Records it's not that long ago. Let's see, I don't even see a date back here anywhere. It's unfortunate. I don't know the date, sorry. But then also connected to Satan, this is Tanith, which features this is a side project of one of the guys in Satan. I couldn't tell you his name for the life of me at the moment. But this features 2 tracks. What are the tracks? Citadel, backed with 11 years. Here's the back of it. It actually features the band members on here. I just got to be honest. I mean, as much as I know of and like some of Satan's music, I am not well versed and don't know all the band members to discuss them without actually doing some research, which of course, as usual, I didn't do before this. I just started showing things. So this is a newer band. Excuse me, Road Rash Accelerator, backed with Burnout. New wave of British heavy metal, new wave of traditional heavy metal stuff. It's just melodic, gritty heavy metal. Gosh, I don't even know who to compare them to. It's not commercial sounding. It's more, I don't know. Like, if you consider Motorhead commercial, then you're probably consider this commercial. Let's put it that way. I don't really hear it. I just think this is really good, straightforward heavy metal. Really enjoyed this. I did actually, after I played this once, I was like, man, I need to search out more from this band because this is literally the only thing I owned by them, and this was a gift from somebody else. So I'm looking forward to actually digging into this band's catalog. This is number 74 of only 200 pressed on Road Rash. Give me some Road Rash Records, which I assume is maybe the band's own independent label. I don't know. And then, oops, stay. This is Haunt. This is the orange vinyl pressing of their latest single. This guy, man, he just never stops, man. He's just always releasing new material. I mean, Haunt's only been around for a few years, but they probably have like 8 records out now. And bunch of singles. He's just always recording and doing stuff. Trevor Church is the main guy in the band. I think he's got actual band members now, but I mean, he's been doing this on his own for years. Songs are Send Me an Angel and Thunder in Her Heart, and there's the orange vinyl. Kind of looks like a creamsicle, huh? Alright, and then one more, the last one in this pile. This is Witch Hazel, Early Music, UK heavy metal band. I did open this one up, but I haven't had a chance to spin them yet. I know Witch Hazel's music. I really like, their sound. They're very much inspired by the likes of bands like Thin Lizzy. I hear UFO in their music, that kind of sound. But it's a gatefold sleeve with 3 discs in it. You see lots of pictures of the band there. It's supposed to be all early pictures of the band, I assume. The tracks on here are Surrender, Witch Hazel, Proclaim the Truth, Fight, and Throw Down Your Sword. I've been wanting this one for a while. It's a little pricey because it is a 3 disc set. I finally found a copy for well under $30 on eBay. Ordered it from a company, I don't know, one of those companies that's always selling stuff on eBay and Amazon, like Rare Waves or one of those companies. I can't remember which one it was. There's nothing bad against the company. I ordered it. I waited. The tracking said it was shipped, but it never went beyond that. I mean, it basically just said shipped. It's like it got dropped off at the post office and they just left it sitting there. So after 6 weeks of waiting, I contacted the company. I'm like, hey man, I never got this. Can you look into it? And instead of arguing back or anything, they just immediately refunded my money and said sorry. That was it. So I had to find it all over again. Well, what I ended up doing was ordering it again, and the second one came through. So I don't know what happened to the first one. I never seen it. I'm assuming it must have went back to them. Once they refunded the money, the transaction was over, so I wasn't really following the tracking anymore. But anyhow, early Witch Hazel, UK heavy metal. These guys are fantastic. Well worth checking out if you like that melodic sound. Wishbone Ash, Thin Lizzy, UFO. That's kind of the era of music that they're very much inspired by. And that is it for this 7-inch update. I appreciate you all watching. Once again, leave a message below. Like the video, thumbs up, all that kind of fun YouTube stuff. Sub the channel. Appreciate you watching. God bless. Stay strong.